I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
What is the path to awakening supposed to look like? To feel like? How do you know if you are on it? We ask these very sacred and sometimes vulnerable questions to many different women from all walks of life. A conversation that needs to be shared and heard. I'm Jo Hendy.
I'm Amanda Parker.
And welcome to the Girl Awakening podcast. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
I've got my glasses on.
We both have our glasses on this morning because I don't know,
there's something in the air. My eyes are a little bit hazy today, and I'm finding it a little bit tricky to read the small print. So
I think there's a lot, like mentally and emotionally, we've been talking a lot around some of the things that are happening in the world at the moment in the spaces, and we like to stay in our little bubble and have that clarity of thought that comes from when we're coming from ourselves, not being overly influenced by too many things. But there's a lot of big things happening in the world, and I think sometimes that can affect your eyesight a little bit too, because there's a lot to take in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's get on with that.
We have another amazing guest, once again from across the seas, which we've had a lot of international guests on lately, which has been so lovely to spread that, quantum field out to everybody and feel it and connecting with that. So today we have a beautiful lady called Nancy Griffin, who's from Canada. Nancy is a connector and an influencer. She attributes her success to personal courage, determination, and joy when focusing on women's health and wellness, hence creating women worth and wellness. Nancy enjoys every opportunity to inspire and inform women about their personal health, their wealth, their net worth, and self-worth, philanthropy, and legacy, so that women feel fabulous, generous, joyful, confident, and on top of their game every day in every way. This is so perfect.
Energy rising out with that. It's amazing.
Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
Yay.
So great to meet you, ladies.
Yes. And likewise.
Being in Canada in evening your time and morning our time, it's quite a dedication to make these, global connections, but it's always spectacular to connect and share. So thank you.
My pleasure. And to make them work.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to jump straight on in.
Yes, and ask you, Nancy, how did your awakening begin?
Well, really, really, really good question. Life unfolds, doesn't it? It just unfolds and it evolves, which is incredible. My first career was at Procter and Gamble, and that was terrific. It was a really great company, really, really great experience. I left and I ran politically at the last minute.
Wow.
I didn't win, but that was the first time that I'd sort of thrust myself into community leadership, and that's a whole other world.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when I didn't win, you go on, well, once you put yourself out there, then people are recruiting you for other leadership roles in the community. So one thing led to another, and it was kind of like, oh my goodness, I've got to get out of this community where I live because it's never ending. And just at about the same time I was thinking about that, I was recruited into wealth management. And it's really interesting because I'd been surrounded by wealth management my whole life, but really did not know how fabulous that career was. My dad was an investor, and when I was in high school, if I missed the bus, he would have the newspaper, and as he's driving, he'd call out his stocks and what did they close at yesterday? And there I am, a teenager, and paying attention to the stock market.
Wow.
And then my brother was a stockbroker, and then my mother started her own investing. So once I was recruited into wealth management, I was sorry that I hadn't been there 20 years earlier, because it really, really is an amazing role as a wealth advisor to work with individuals and families, young people, mature people, the works. And the first order of business when you're in that business is you need to know your client. So you really, really get to know people exceptionally well before you can do anything that, it's like going to the doctor. The first thing they do is they want to take blood to, analyze who you are. Same thing as a wealth advisor. So I started in 1992. And when you're a wealth advisor, you work for a big company, but you're very much an entrepreneur. So they train you, they've recruited you, they're delighted you're there, and they give you lots of training. but you've got to go find your own clients.
Mm.
And so I started to focus on women because my mother had talked about women in investing as she became an investor. Unfortunately, she had died 2 years prior to me getting into the business. So that was most unfortunate because I know that she and I would have had a lot of wonderful conversations together. But once I started working with women, and not exclusively women, I realized that women in a family have a disproportionate amount of responsibility pertaining to everybody's health and wellness. They're expected to know if somebody isn't well, what's wrong with them. So they're kind of like the on-site nurse practitioner, whereas we think of men as the person in the family who's looking after the investing. And so women, of course, have very little time. And I decided, I'm going to partner with not-for-profit women's related research companies. And so
Mm.
started to do all sorts of different events. We know that heart disease is the leading cause of death for women, not breast cancer. But we also know that the symptoms of heart disease for women are often quite different than they are for men. So I would have an event with the Heart and Stroke Foundation. They would come in and talk to us about all the research that they're doing, their new findings, things that you need to know that you may not have known.
Mm.
So my female clients would come and they'd, of course, bring a friend. So it was a great way to build your business at the same time you're building awareness. I then started to charge people like $25 or $50, a nominal amount, but that amount is always a charitable donation. So it's the whole concept of enhancing your net worth because you've got this deduction, but then also your self-worth because you're in a position of giving. And of course, fast forward 30 plus years later,
Mm.
that whole business of charitable giving has really evolved into philanthropy and legacy planning. We know that women are earning a whole lot more than they've ever earned before, but more importantly, they're inheriting incredible amounts of wealth. And so now women are stewarding huge amounts of wealth that in the past was not so. And we know about Melinda Gates and Mackenzie Scott. I mean, what they became as philanthropists was because of something awful going wrong in their relationship. But thank you very much. Now they've got all that wealth to make great things happen from. And so it's very, very much a holistic brand. Women Worth and Wellness, you can circle right back and invest right back into women's health if that's a priority, or men's health. It's not exclusive to women's health by any means. But just know that when you build a wealth plan, that you start with your health. Your health is your greatest asset.
Mm. So how was that back in like 1992 for you to step into learning around money and I guess you could say the power of money in this space and have it start to awaken this idea of wanting to support women in this way, as opposed
Well,
to going down a traditional path of, I mean, you
well,
already
well,
shared, but
the awakening moment was at that moment in time because it was a sweet spot for me getting into the business and
mm,
making that a priority because it was an awakening moment for so many women.
mm,
Women were quite intrigued with investing. They
mm,
knew it was something that they need to pay attention to, but at the same time, their knowledge about what to invest in and how to invest and all those sorts of things were brand new. And so, as a wealth advisor, that's the sort of thing that you can help them learn. So, again, you do lots of different events, lots of training events,
mm,
and so they're learning so that when you sit down and you have a one-on-one conversation, that's when they can say, well, tell me more. Tell me more about how that all works and why that's something that I should consider. I remember this one older woman, now younger than I am now, saying to me, Nancy, I think she was 72. She's, Nancy, I really want to borrow to invest. So she wants to get a loan from the bank and invest. And it's like, okay, take me around this again. So I would describe, anyway, she did, and she was fine. You just held her hand, make sure she understood, make sure she saw the benefits of doing that sort of thing and
mhm.
how it all worked its way through.
So there's kind of because having a relationship with money is quite a big I'll say
dynamic in most people's lives. And for women stepping out of, as you shared before, like traditional roles as, the carer, the center of the home, and, the nurse, the healer, and the, you know, provider of what was on the dinner table and things like that. Is quite, did you find it was a little bit controversial for women, exciting in that way for women to sort of really like, did you kind of feel you were flicking on a switch, if you like, for like self-empowerment, and and your business is called Woman Worth and Wellness. Did that spur you on even more once you started to connect with women and see this intrigue and see this growth, innate intelligence, if you like, kind of like come forward and awaken? Because when you talk about one of the main things that the leading causes of death for women is heart issues. For me, on a metaphysical level, that is like sometimes not living your true purpose through. So it's almost in a way like helping women to have this empowerment through a relationship with money and what's the word, sovereignty in this space, or self-authority, is kind of healing on all levels, isn't it? Of that woman stepping into like their fullness and being
Well,
sensitive.
women love to learn in a group.
Mm,
And so having events was really, really powerful.
mm,
Having the right speaker talking about the right thing um, is a great way to take in a lot of information. And I think women get intimidated when it's just them learning against the teacher, because you may not know all the questions to ask, or you may have a million questions and think you're asking too many questions, or you may have questions to ask that you're sort of embarrassed to ask because you think by now you would have known the answers to those questions. So that's why putting people into a group and having the right presenter and having other women ask questions or reinforce messages that are being shared was really, really incredible, because it's a whole building confidence awareness process.
Yeah,
hear that.
totally understand. So when
Mm.
you're going through this shift, Nancy, yourself, and having more understanding around the wealth and women and all of that stuff, did you notice any shifts in your thoughts about the world at that stage? Like, were you noticing that things weren't as they seemed, or were you still just more in the world of finance and supporting women in that way? Or were you opening up to notice the things happening around you, shifting
I
around you?
would I would say both.
Yeah.
I would say both, because when you're in the investment business, you're working with a lot of sophisticated, smart people.
Yeah.
And their job is to share their information with you
Mm-hmm.
so that you can share it with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's one of the major benefits of being in that business. And that's why you really have to pick the company that you work for very carefully, because different companies will invest more in their advisors than others will.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a tremendous advantage. But of course, the world is changing constantly. And your role is to be the catalyst. Your role is to take in a lot of what in the world's going on as it pertains to their investments and help them assimilate that information into their plan so that it's best for them. And making sure they understand what it is so they know that it is best for them. Because we've all heard the expression, if you can't sleep at night, then you're probably in the wrong investment. So part of my role as an investment advisor is to make sure they understand what they own. And so when markets go crazy or conversations go crazy,
Mm.
they have a level of confidence that they know what they own and why they own it and how it fits for them. Not every investment fits the same way for everybody.
Mm. So on that note, did you find that when you were sharing before around getting to know the people that you were starting working with, um, trust was a consideration on the table of building those
It,
relationships?
It's all about trust.
Mhm.
All about trust. And I've been doing different podcasts, and the topic that keeps coming up is you must work with a trusted advisor. So if you do not have a trusted advisor, then that person is not someone who you feel confident has your best interests in mind.
Mm.
And the same thing pertaining to health. And, a lot of the questioning became, well, how in the world do I find a trusted advisor? Well, first of all, it's your health and it's your money. So you need to keep shopping until you find that person that you do have a level of confidence is serving you exceptionally well. They need to have a whole level of sophistication, but beyond that, they need to have an attitude of helping you be the best that you can be, understanding what you have in place.
Mm. So what I hear you saying too is that for you, it's the wealth and the health are undeniably entwined.
Correct.
Yeah, and that. So did you notice? So and when you were sharing, like I want to ask a few questions, but when you were using the say the Heart Foundation or those opportunities to bring women together and then open that up into wealth advocacy as well. Did you notice with your clients over the years changes in their health and wellness, and because they were confident or thriving or feeling self-empowered? Are these sort of things that seem to come together?
Definitely.
Mm,
Definitely. Because if you're stressed because of your whole wealth scenario, then
mm,
obviously that's going to affect your health.
mm,
So that's why we talk about health equally to your wealth. What you really want is both of those working complementary.
mm,
Um, a lot of a wealth plan
mm,
includes anticipating worst case scenarios with your health, like anticipating a critical illness,
mm,
or anticipating a disability, or anticipating premature death. So all of those are aspects to
mm,
building that wealth scenario so that you've got that insurance coverage and along with a whole investment portfolio. And
mm.
I've often said, if you want to find out how healthy you are, apply for life insurance because the life insurance companies are not just going to say, okay, here you go, pay, whatever. They're going to look at you very, very carefully because that life insurance policy is based on how they've assessed your health to be.
Mm. And it's interesting because it raises two things, isn't it? Like sometimes when you face something, it's like looking at your shadows and then therefore it disappears. So if you face the reality of there are health crises or things that you can anticipate and address and be prepared for, and therefore they never happen. Or there's
Exactly.
the thing that you actually attracting it in because once you can fixate on it and you're drawing it towards you. So it's did you find there was like a need to kind of share a level of education around uh
Always,
yeah. Mm,
always, always. I mean, that's your job to push back and say, have you thought about this? What about this? What's your plan? Blah, 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 all the way along.
mhm,
Definitely. Okay, well, if this is something that we need to take a look at, then obviously this is what we're going to lower the microscope on. I've often said that if I've done my job well as a wealth advisor, that everything's been anticipated, everything's in place, and the client understands clearly what it is, that you walk out in the middle of traffic and say, hit me, all my affairs are in order. Easier said than done.
yeah.
But the thing is, I had one couple, they didn't have any children. They were both professionals. She was a university professor. He was a lawyer, and he refused to get a will, if you can imagine.
Oh,
Just refused to get a will. I mean, some people believe as soon as they do a will, they're going to die immediately.
Ah, right.
And
Wow.
so they were going on a big world cruise. And so I started in on him and I said, look,
mm,
this is a big adventure that you're going on. You really cannot travel without getting this in order.
yeah.
And so we worked it through. And then the thing that was really interesting is in putting those wills together, it's anticipating each other's demise and who goes first. And the big question was, if she died first, then he's inherited her wealth. and he did not know where she would like to have her philanthropic dollars directed. So, one conversation always leads to another. But as a wealth advisor, you have to anticipate worst case scenarios. And if they say, look, I don't want any insurance at all, it's like living in your home without insurance. You just need to make sure they clearly understand the risk of not having that insurance. And you get them to acknowledge that so that everybody understands. But some really, really, really interesting conversations occurred, really. But again, as a wealth advisor, you've got to be challenging. You've got to push back towards them with a bit of an uncomfortable conversation and resolve whatever their final decision is.
I'm literally thinking of those dating games where couples get asked a question around the other person, and some people know with great certainty what their partner's choice would be or what their favorite color
Right.
is, and some partners are like have got no idea about their partner's wishes or feelings and things like that. And literally you're describing that scenario of a woman would probably know these things about her husband, but for the husband to not know these things would not be uncommon, I would imagine. And I might be judging. I don't feel like I'm judging, but I feel like I'm taking a good guess at those statistics.
But the other thing too is very seldom will couples go home and say, okay, let's have a conversation about our estate plan.
Yeah.
Like life is too busy to have those conversations. So that's why whoever you're working with as your trusted advisor needs to keep poking and saying, well, what about this and how do you feel about that? Blah, 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 and resolve that conversation so that you can put some things in place.
On that note, Nancy, have you made any like changes in your world when you've
Yes.
Yes. What type of changes have you made in your world to, to navigate through?
Okay. Well, I'm the president of the Rotary Club here in the community that I live in. And I had a big, huge insurance policy. And my husband kept saying, why do we have all that insurance? I don't need all that. Well, I love insurance. Insurance is so powerful, really powerful, especially if you buy it when you're young and really healthy. Finally decided to reduce it in half and then make a donation to the Rotary Foundation. So working my way all the way through that, and I'm about to go to the Rotary International Convention in Western Canada. And the lady who looks after all of the philanthropy in Canada, I've already met with her, but I'll meet with her again because I think there's some more opportunities in that whole area. I think people just really hesitate moving off the mark. But I'm delighted that I worked my way through it. And it takes time because you've got to work with the insurance company and you've got to make the adjustments and, you know, blah, 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 tax deduction, all that kind of stuff. So it takes time, but having the idea and having the will, then you work it through to put it all in place.
Nice.
So it feels like you have a very practical and generous relationship with money.
I think that's probably a good idea. Yes,
And
a good
so
conclusion.
yeah, in the podcast that we've done with women around money, because money is not a big topic that actually comes up in a lot of the podcasts that we do, which is interesting. But we also know that the more that we can let go of something or surrender to something, the more we can, or more resistance we have around it, the more it flows. So do you find that the more letting go or surrendering around money, the more it flows into you and your clients? Is that the case? Or do you find it's the opposite? It's the more you know and understand and focus on it that it flows in?
I think it really just depends. I think it can be obviously a combination of both.
Yeah.
It just depends. But it's interesting that you say that because there are two qualities that I value in people I interact with. One is generosity, and
Yeah.
that's not with money. That's just, somebody opens the door for
Yeah.
you. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And then a sense of humor. If you've ever been with a humorless person, it's like, oh my goodness, get me out of here and
Yeah.
quickly. So
Yes.
those two qualities are invaluable,
I love
really
that too.
invaluable.
Yes.
Hmm.
great qualities to have. Yes, definitely.
I'd,
So,
I'd like to ask, just while
yeah.
we're talking in this space, with the different events that you've brought together, Nancy, would you have a favorite speaker? Because when you were sharing before around how important the speaker is and what they have to share and how they create, that direction and leadership and expansion in the room, have you got someone that comes to mind that was one of your favorite speakers that delivered something for any reason?
Well, two come to mind. One is Peter Buffett, Warren Buffett's son.
Oh,
I
yes.
heard him
Wow. Yep.
I heard him speak in New York. He's a terrific speaker, really, really, really good.
Mhm.
Because of course the dad gave each of the kids $1 billion. He's since topped it up to 2 billion. And
Wow.
all of a sudden Peter's a philanthropist and he'd spent his whole career in music. It's
Oh,
like, what do I know? What do I know about being a philanthropist? And anyway, he said, I'm going to take a similar approach to what my dad did with his whole wealth scenario, and that is look for undervalued assets. So he decided globally to focus on young girls in third world countries
mm,
because if they are better educated, they will probably have fewer children. And if they have fewer children, then they are more able to work and generate an income and then make a difference in their communities. And so that's one of my favorite books. It's called Life is What You Make It. Really simple,
mm.
but just a really, really good message. And the other one is a lady that I did a lot of events with. And what's the name of her book? Passionate Longevity was one. Passionate Longevity. The other one is Use the Good Dishes.
Ah,
And
I
like
love
that.
that.
okay, Use the Good Dishes. And she then became a rapper. She's very creative. But the thing is, the thing that I love the most is a really simple message delivered by somebody with a lot of energy,
Yeah.
because then your audience gets the message and
Mm,
they get inspired
yeah.
and then they pay attention to what they can be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about resonance, isn't it? It's all about energy and resonance. Like if you've got somebody with high energy, you can feel it. You resonate with
Exactly.
that. Yeah, you like it. It's engaging and you want to be a part of that. Whatever that energy they're sweeping you up in, you want to be a part of.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Really.
Very
Definitely.
activating. I
Yeah.
love that the woman who wrote Use the Good Dishes
Such a good name.
has been an author and a speaker and a
Rapper.
rapper. I
Yes,
mean, it
no,
makes
she's
sense.
amazing.
Yeah, the command of language, and rappers have an incredible command of language, and
Mm.
with the message.
Actually, I have to tell you a story. I did an event with her on March the 11th,
Oh, no.
2020. March the 11th, 2020.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay. Very good.
yeah.
And I had 127 women for lunch.
Oh, wow.
And she and I crafted this event the previous December. You've got to have the conversation. What are we going to do? And then what's the date? And, it was around International Women's Day, of course, March the 8th. Well, we were coming into the year 2020. So
Yes.
our theme was perfect vision for the road ahead.
Oh, no. Then COVID hit
And that's the day
again.
that the world declared,
Well done.
that's the day that the World Health Organization
Wow.
declared. Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
We still laugh about that. And the thing is, and the way women are. The morning of, we had, I think, 23 women that signed up because somebody will say to another, oh, are you going to the blah, blah? No, I didn't hear about that. I wonder if there's still blah, blah.
Yes.
So the lady who did all the food, she definitely was a loaves and fishes. I said to Casey, okay, we've got 6 more that want it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we accommodated everybody. We had a blast. We had a wonderful time. Of course, everybody goes home, and that's when they find that the whole world has fallen apart. One day later, it would have been, a few people, but certainly not that success.
Wow.
And amazing to think that what you all shared on that day might have carried quite a few
Yeah.
people through some very intense times as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I
Sharing
keep,
that.
that day, I think shortly after, how you used to find pennies on the street? Well,
Mm.
all of a sudden I'm finding dimes, like dimes. And there's an expression that is life can turn on a dime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so shortly after that event, I found a dime. I've still got it up here on my bulletin board
Wow.
because that day was 180 degrees in another direction.
Yeah. No, absolutely. that year was 180 degrees. So
Yeah.
have you had to give up anything, Nancy, on this road of awakening?
Well, somebody recently said, looking back, what have you given up that you're happy about? I said golf.
Oh, classic.
And I used to golf, and I've organized, we have this amazing hospital in Toronto called Women's College Hospital, and it's world renowned. And so, right off the bat, when I'm focusing on women, I partnered with them.
Oh,
1994, I did their first golf tournament, and I had like 36 golfers or something. In 1997, I had 144 golfers.
wow.
And Sandra Post is an LPGA winner. If you Google her, you'll see.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And that was just, the same time women are focusing on investing, they're focusing on golfing. And so it was just a blast. And we had so many prizes. We had to have 3 flights with 1, 2, 3,
Wow.
just all kinds of people having all kinds of time. So I've done lots of different golf tournaments, but there's no time to golf
Yeah.
when you're organizing these things. So, and I don't miss it. Like I'll go in golf tournaments, but I'm not part of a regular golfing group where I'm out every Tuesday for 18 holes or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's
that's and it was
sorry.
funny when that question was asked. Immediately I said golf. And then afterwards I thought, why would I say that? And then I thought about it and thought, no, I agree with that
Yeah.
because it's extremely time consuming.
Mm.
It really is. And, I got lots of other things that I'm spending my time on. So it would really get in the way.
Mm. And it's quite a strategic game as well, too, isn't it? You don't want to go in with the wrong mindset because it can
Oh,
add to the stress and the pressure.
yeah. Again, in Toronto, we've got a women's golf club that is just amazing. And I was a member when I lived in Toronto. Now I'm about 3 hours from Toronto. Really, really, really Toronto Ladies Golf Club. And so I had done some volunteer work there when I was a member like 15 years ago. Anyway, they were hosting the Canadian Women's Golf Tournament. And they said, well, Nancy, we would like you to golf with one of the pros and bring 2 of your friends. So had a great time. This woman takes trips, golf trips. So my husband and I had a golf trip. She's just represented herself. She now has a PhD, and she's now talking about the power of the 15th club. So you need 14 clubs. You can't have any more. 14, but the 15th is your mind game.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have the proper mind game, then you don't have the proper club.
That's
So good for her. Really, really good for her.
I love it when people bring that. Like Deepak Chopra wrote a book around the Zen of golf, I think it's called, and Greg Norman, who's Australian American, he was the shark. He was one of the first golfers to bring a lot of the mindset into the awareness or into the game, and
Huge,
I think,
huge.
so given that you were paired with one of the professional golfers, your game must have been pretty good, Nancy.
Well, it was acceptable. When people would ask my husband if he golfs, he says, I have clubs. And actually I did, when you're in the investment business, you're mostly with men, although that's changing. A lot more women are getting into the business, which is super. But at one of our golf tournaments, I won a trip to Florida to Greg Norman's golf club.
Oh, wow. There you go.
And my husband worked in the film industry. He was in Los Angeles, so he couldn't go, which always makes it difficult because now you have to invite a friend. Well, who are you going to invite? Anyway, I took my sister-in-law and we had a blast. And they, of course, thought we were part of the PR team. Like these women couldn't possibly be golfers.
Yeah.
And his club in Florida, Jupiter, I think, is called the Medalist. And it's like Target golf. There's a lot of sand in between, and then there's grass. And so we get on the first tee, and of course, we're a novelty. We have an audience. And I said, whatever your mantra is, just suck it in. All we have to do is get off this first tee, and then we're good to go. But anyway, it was great. It was a wonderful adventure.
Yeah.
Kind of bringing
No,
up.
golf.
Sorry,
I was
Nancy.
just going to say golf is terrific because you go to great places,
Yeah.
and 99% of the time you meet terrific people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a great game.
It's a bit like Rotary. It's very community, isn't it? Like very
Oh, very.
opportunity for a conversation. What you're bringing to mind also is just in that note of being taken seriously as golfers is how did you find it being taken seriously in the world of finance and wealth investment amongst your peers when, as you say, in the earlier days, it would have been mostly men in that space?
That's why it's good to be in golf tournaments,
Yeah.
so that you're not, really, it's very, very difficult for women,
Mm,
unless you're a really good golfer, to deal with the dynamics of being with men
Mm.
and playing the game and having a conversation.
mm,
There's a lot going on, an awful lot going on, which makes it really, really challenging. So
mm,
Well, a
you
lot of
really,
women do business on the golf course, don't they?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But but you have to be able to keep up. It's like playing tennis.
Mm.
If you can't keep up, you don't have a game. And if you don't have a game, then what's the point?
mm,
And so, but a golf tournament is normally just lots of fun. And
Yeah.
if you're with a foursome, then even more fun if you're with the right foursome.
yeah.
Just so good.
Were you able to kind of overlay that sports mindset to your business mindset and hold your own like and just basically play your own game? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, to
Mm,
a very small extent. But
mm,
don't put yourself, for me, don't put yourself in too many of those situations
mm,
because it's devastating if you don't do well.
mm,
Really devastating. So, proceed with caution. Like pick your
mm,
pick your events very, very, very carefully. I mean, pick events where it's going to be winning for you and obviously the people that you're with.
mm.
Perfect
That's smart. Good.
segue
Yeah, good. Yeah.
into the next question. So we've noticed,
Yes. Go for it. Yeah.
we've noticed a big shift in awareness in the world around self-worth and feelings of self-value. How does this energy sit with you in your life? And
The people that you've been working with.
yeah,
Mm,
Well, as I define myself as a connector and an influencer,
mm,
as you work with people and you help those people, I mean, you know that givers gain. The
yeah,
more you give, the more you help, the more you get back in return.
yeah,
And so, that really is how you're enhancing your self-worth.
yeah,
We just had actually we've had two young girls, both of them, students into a Rotary leadership program. And of course, I asked them to both to come in and speak, and then they each came with their mothers, which was interesting. Mothers are so proud. You just
yeah,
know exactly how they're feeling.
yeah.
But each of these girls they were just so impressive.
mm,
And so what you do is you stay connected with them and you keep it going because they're just getting started
mm,
and learning so many things and now getting an extra set of wings that they can fly with
mm,
a whole lot more to come. So
Mm,
you never treat it as a one-off situation.
mm,
And that's the ripple effect of self-worth because certainly it's enhancing their self-worth to be invited and present and be acknowledged.
mm,
But then it certainly enhances my self-worth in a situation to be able to keep on helping them
mm.
and also to see the mothers being so proud. So there are a lot of things going on all at the same time.
mm,
Yeah, and also the part of where we get to learn from all these this new energy that's coming through as
mm,
well. There's a lot of new energy coming through that have just new concepts. They think differently, and it's so nice to be around those people to be able to learn and take different concepts from them as well.
mm,
And also well, the connector component is um, all the people that you know, who do you know that could be helpful to that person?
Mm,
mm,
At that age, they know a lot of things that we don't know,
mm,
but there are a lot of things that they don't know that we can really, really help them with.
yeah.
So I think that's, paying attention to what is going on in that little mini world and add your value to the very, very best that you can.
mm.
Mm,
That's a beautiful you just have the whole mentorship and the stewardship of as you said, enabling people to strengthen their wings and fly
mm.
as
Mhm,
high as their potential can be. Mm.
mhm.
So beautiful.
So, well, yes. So along the way, what do you obviously have a love of community and being a part of groups of people and seeing community thrive. It seems to be a very big mindset for you in what you do with wealth management, which I'm also finding quite unique. That it's not just this, my because a lot of people talk about my clients, or this, and it might be
Mhm.
some people don't have longevity with their clients as well, whereas you're talking really in this space of community constantly.
Definitely.
Mm,
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, people don't walk around with their balance sheet on their back, but everybody's aspiring to have enough wealth to support their lifestyle
mm,
and to support their values.
mm.
And so, to the extent that you can help them enhance all of that, I mean, that in itself is huge, really, really huge.
And that we often people who work in this area with women and wealth, one of their, I guess, passions in this space is the mindset that, if women will provide more for their families, a bit what you were saying about Peter Buffett before, they will provide for their families, they will, be creating change in their community, they will be um, enhancing family wellness in the family unit, like those kind of things become a lot stronger with women working with wealth or becoming having access to finance, even to become educated or empowered with wealth.
Yep, often, often, often it goes well beyond just your immediate little bailiwick, your immediate little family, your immediate little focus. I mean, women, I think, who knows? I mean, it's hard to make general statements and have them all be true,
Mm,
but I think women in particular tend to be pretty caring and pretty generous about all inclusive.
Yeah.
mm. And have you had a diversity of people coming into this area working with wealth or self-empowerment and through self-worth and financial security? Have you had women who I would say be, say, like, lower socioeconomic bracket right through to a higher socioeconomic bracket? Like, has there been diversity in those spaces with your
Yes,
community? Mm,
yes, there have.
mm,
And it's interesting because it's all about their attitude. You
mm,
know, you're a resource, you're offering a lot to them, but you can't just stand there and, whatever you're saying, whatever you're communicating, whatever you're offering, they have to take it in.
mm,
And so if they don't want it, what's the point? And so I can remember a couple of people who were just starting out, trying to understand how you put it all together. Well, guess what? 30 years later, they're doing very, very well because they got those messages earlier on. I was, we have a play called Come From Away. I'm not sure if you've heard of that play,
yeah,
but it was all about 9/11 when, all the planes had, remember that graph that you saw? All the planes had to come right down out of the sky. Well, there were a whole bunch of planes that landed in Gander, Newfoundland. So on the very east coast of Canada and kind of a real outpost. And all of a sudden, like 7,500 people have arrived. And it's like, how are we going to accommodate? Like, there's not enough Holiday Inns to accommodate them. And so all these families took them in. And
Wow.
it's kind of, well, actually, the majority of the settlers are from Ireland to begin with. So you can imagine the music component. Anyway, these young people, this young couple created a play. And
Oh,
it's been on Broadway. It's been played here so many different times. But anyway, I hadn't seen it. I totally missed it. And of course, they said basically last call. We've been back here 6 times. And so I went and I'm lined up and this woman looked over at me and she said, Nancy? I said, yeah, it's Jocelyn. Well, it was a client from way back when. And she said, she and her partner, she said, we talk about you often. It's like, ah, you never know who you're going to run into. Well, what had happened in putting their whole wealth scenario together, and both of them were in leadership roles in healthcare, both very distinguished, like really terrific ladies. And I guess I talked about other aspects of their whole wealth scenario, which is investing in real estate. She said, we invested in two income properties, and we talk about you all.
Oh,
Anyway, I was delighted to hear that it was good news
yeah.
and that they thought well of me.
Yes.
You never know. You never
No,
know.
Yeah, the
never
ears are burning for what reason?
Right.
So, what do you do now to support yourself for staying in the moment and staying well, Nancy?
Well, Rotary's been terrific. I've loved Rotary. I mean, I've always been sort of a global thinker. And
Mm,
when you're in the investment business, you're thinking global all the time, because people always want to invest in faraway places because they think that's where you're going to get the best return. Well, not necessarily. So you're always paying attention to what in the world is going on. So that's exactly what Rotary's all about. What in the world is going on, both globally as well as locally.
mm,
And that aspect I really enjoy a lot because it gives you so many opportunities to participate and bring your uniqueness forward. It's like, what do you care about?
mm.
This one lady that I met, actually, her one of her best friends had worked at the American University in Beirut, and he introduced me to her. So I did a seminar to the members in her Rotary Club in Beirut
Oh, wow.
talking about women's health, the McKinsey study that went to um, the Global Forum in Davos in January of this year. And then we've just done a whole study in Canada that's talking about the amount of wealth that women are stewarding from a philanthropic standpoint. So
Mm.
I shared those two studies and did a PowerPoint presentation online. And anyway, she and I, the conference is in Honolulu in 2 years from now. So we've agreed that we will both be there. So
Nice.
those are things that are terrific. Like it's just, I really take a lot of energy from meeting like-minded people
Yeah.
who are reaching for more. I think that's really the bottom line is you're not saying, okay, well, I'm done enough of that. I
Yeah.
think I'll sit down now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you mind if I ask you a sensitive question?
No,
What age are you, beautiful?
75.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'm
Fantastic.
76 at the end of June. So a month from now, I'm 76.
Nice. Nice.
76. And I was okay being 75 last year because I think I'm 42.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and then somebody said, "Do you realize you're 5 years away from being 80?"
Oh,
That was a showstopper.
Yeah.
But it's like, so what? I mean, and
Yeah.
this is what I tell people.
mm,
People, you've got to be thankful that you've lived this long because we know what in the world's going on, and not many people have that privilege. So,
Yeah.
mm,
That's so
and actually, you'll get a kick out of this because I've done so many different topics with Women Worth and Wellness, and one that caught my attention recently from Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto is
mm,
they came up with a really, really, really wonderful um, campaign right in your face called Hot and Bothered. Hot and Bothered. So it's all about menopause.
yeah. Of
And
course.
I picked up on it. I thought, I'm going to do some things with this
Mm.
because women during their 40s, when you're just starting to ramp up, that's when those symptoms kick in,
Yeah.
just when you're on a really positive leadership trajectory.
Mm.
And that can be a showstopper. And so did a couple of events, and then I've been invited, that's next week, doing a presentation at a wealth advisory conference where it'll be mostly men. And I'm starting off by saying, don't think for a minute this doesn't include you boys. That's why they call it menopause.
Yes. Yes. I've heard that one. That's a great one.
fabulous.
Absolutely.
I know.
Yeah.
But we're also focusing on andropause, which is the male version,
Yeah. Yep.
not to the very same extent as menopause,
Mm-hmm.
but certainly men go through something similar. I mean, it's all hormones and what are the implications? And the other thing that I learned about menopause is some of those symptoms are early signs of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Mm.
And, with a whole lot more research underway. So
Mm. Yes.
interesting how something just catches your attention.
Yeah.
And I've spent the last couple of months, going off in different directions with that.
Mm.
It's exciting, and it's kind of a speaking from being on the other side of the journey as
Mm.
well, that wisdom, but keeping it current because I think it can become, there's a lot of opportunity to bring humor in this space, but as a means to bringing greater knowledge and greater awareness.
Awareness.
And I think Dr. Mindy Phelps might have been the person I heard say that men's hormones change daily up and down, whereas
Yes.
women's hormones will change cyclically over the month. So,
Monthly. Right.
there's that different cycles, but they're definitely both happening.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
So just as we wind this down, we have been going now for an hour, which has been amazing.
So quick.
Thank you. And it's gone so
Goes by
quickly.
like a frisbee.
Yes, absolutely. Did you want to add anything, Nancy, to the end of the podcast before we say our goodbyes?
No, the only thing that I say is that people should just, your life is your greatest asset. And so just live your life and be selfish. Like, pay attention to yourself and what you want, but of course, look after your health and look after your wealth.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh.
I know you've got Honolulu in mind in 2 years' time, but is there any other goals that you've got that you'd like to achieve career-wise?
Well, I do want to spend, once you get into the philanthropic space, a lot of people are at the mercy of their advisor. And if their advisor, and wealth is very, very private, you have that one-to-one relationship. And so I think there are ways that you can bring a lot of things to people's attention that will probably give them some ideas about what else they might do. It's a really, really, really challenging opportunity because you've got to be careful. I mean, you're not trying to be difficult as far as their current advisor is concerned, but we all know that sometimes you outgrow your advisors. You outgrow the advice that you're being given. And also, having worked with a lot of different clients, I think by the time you can't really head into a lot of complicated new ideas beyond my age. I mean, 75, 80 maybe, but really, you're at risk. So it's kind of the 55 to 70-year-olds that are a real opportunity from a philanthropic legacy planning situation, dealing with their families, their communities, their favorite, whatever, the works. So I may be spending some more time on that I'm a certified financial planner, which means that you can just put together a whole program and offer that as a CFP for people to access and then pick and choose themselves. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, well, that's a good point. Oh, well. So I may do that or I may not.
Or you may not. It depends if golf calls you back into the grass. Would there be a book in the space, do you think?
Possibly. Possibly. Definitely. This one that I did do, it was compiled. It was several stories. This turning point, I think it was mentioned in
Lovely.
that bio, and I had fun doing that. But it's a big project. But on the other hand, once you start creating content, then that's the book, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just flows. Yeah. You already have
Rather than saying I'm going to write a book and then you got to figure it all out. So, start working on the content and then maybe think about putting it into a book.
It seems like you've got quite a bit of content to add towards something.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for joining us today. And for anyone that's interested in anything Nancy is doing with wealth and worth and wellness, we will pop everything on the show notes so you can jump straight onto Nancy's website and check it out.
Great website.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies.
She comes in my dreams.
Thank you for listening to our Girl Awakening podcast. We are also on YouTube as Girl Awakening. We'd love to see you there with comments on how our guests resonated with you or your own awakening. Please share the love with a like and subscribe while you're there. A blissful thank you to Ksenia Luki, the amazing artist behind our theme song. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.